Hey guys, welcome to winter.
Hey, welcome to our winter tips. These are useful anytime where the temperature drops.
Yeah, and that can happen at any moment. I mean, right now we're in Canada, it is winter. We are thankfully on the west coast, so it's not super, super cold. But we have found ourselves in situations where it's been cold. I remember when we were in Bryce Canyon.
That was a cold one.
It was cold for a couple of nights, and we were boondocking, so no hookups.
And it dropped to like 5 degrees Fahrenheit.
Crazy.
It was cold, and it was, I guess, high altitudes too.
It was,
Yeah.
And even in like the high desert in California, Arizona areas, you can just find yourself all of a sudden in a really cold situation. So we want to share with you today some tips and tricks and hacks for how we survive the cold winter weather.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, so we basically have three categories we want to talk about. We want to talk about heat. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
We want to talk about protecting your rig in the cold. We also want to talk about condensation. I feel like that is a topic all by itself to be dealt with. So heat, protection, and condensation. Let's talk about heat first.
Okay, so from day one, we bought a buddy heater. You hook that up to a 1 pound propane bottle, or you get a little hose and hook it up to a 20 pounder. Which is much more economical. And that has been a lifesaver so many times. It is something you can just get out and turn on at the drop of a hat. You can, the power can go off, and you're all of a sudden, it's like, no problem, we got a buddy heater. Click, and you're good to go.
Yeah, a buddy heater is basically like a big rectangle thing, and it's got kind of an open flame, so be super careful if you have pets or children with you. I mean, it's safe to use inside. You just don't want to be touching it.
And some people do not believe you that it's safe to use inside. But it has an 100% burn.
Yeah.
It is, however it's set up, it burns right off of the ceramic reflector. And even,
We're not technical.
even firemen will look at that and go, that can't be. And then they measure it and go, yeah, there's no problem with
Yeah,
this.
so do make sure you have smoke detector and propane detector
And
and
CO
a CO
detector.
detector in your
Yeah.
rig. That is just common sense safety stuff. So anyway, buddy heater will save your
Bacon.
freezing cold body from getting too cold. It's awesome for boondocking and it's awesome
Yeah.
for emergencies. So another thing you want to make sure that you have for heat is you can insulate your rig. So a big thing that a lot of people do will put the Reflectix, it's like that silver Reflectix stuff on their windows or in behind their cupboards or whatever. And that can be super helpful. We haven't done
No.
that really. We have one piece of Reflectix down where our dog sleeps just to keep her warm because she's near the floor, so we don't want her to get too cold.
Yeah.
But if you don't have Reflectix and you all of a sudden find yourself in a situation, just grab whatever blankets you can find and hang those up on your windows.
I know some people will tool up a, let's say, a Class C or a van, and they will actually insulate foam cover basically every window. So they've covered up all their windows.
good,
You
yeah.
can't even see out, can't even use them as windows. But it's to protect themselves from being too cold because they're going to live the whole winter in that vehicle.
Yeah, I think I would find that depressing because I really love the sunshine and the light. That's one reason
Yeah.
we have a motorhome that has these big windows. So that's sort of for me, I'd rather use the blankets because I can cover them up at night or when it gets really cold and then take them off during the day when the sun is shining. Because even on a cold day, if the sun is shining, you can feel the warmth coming into your rig. Another way that we insulate is we will actually put a blanket in front of our door. We find a lot
Yes.
of air kind of flowing in through that area. So, and just so you know,
Yeah.
our motorhome is a 1993.
Yes.
So it is not super insulated. If
No,
you,
it's made for 1.5 seasons.
Yeah, basically. She wants to chase 70.
Yeah, all of the
Just
time.
like us.
Yeah.
But if you have a newer rig, you probably don't need to worry quite so much about that insulation because your windows will be higher quality and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay. One other thing that we did right from the very first winter was we actually put a blanket between the front and the back of our motorhome, so that we actually section it off into two pieces, which means we can actually warm up the back area without having to warm up the whole place.
Yeah.
Which has helped.
Yes.
Because when you have a draft and it's cold, and you section that one off, you can deal with it a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. So just create some micro spaces, I guess is what you could call them, that makes it a lot warmer.
So because we're in a longer term situation right here, we have electrical, we have a heater in the back, we have a heater in the front, and we do not have to run the furnace because of those two heaters that are running.
Yep.
So because we don't have to run the furnace, we can cover up the floor with runners. Now, you have to be careful with that, though. You can't just put carpet on your floor of your motorhome. If you've covered up your heaters, don't run your furnace. Your furnace actually has to have all of the vents open in order to run properly, because that's how it's designed, and you'll have some burning problems if you run it with just one vent open. Okay, so you have to open up all your vents, because that's how a furnace with an RV, at least from our experience, has to run. It has to run with all of them breathing.
So what I've heard is a lot of people will get those great big puzzle pieces for the floor. They'll put them together, they'll cover their floor, and then they'll cut out where the furnace vents are, just so that they're not covering those up. And you still have a little bit of insulation.
What do you mean puzzle pieces?
They're like the foamy puzzle pieces that go on the floor.
Okay.
They used them in preschools and kindergartens and stuff. So, and actually, I heard from someone recently that you can get them in like a wood grain look. So that would be pretty nice. Anyway, so yeah, that's just another thing you can do. Keep your floor insulated. But if your feet are cold, put on some slippers. Put on some socks.
Yeah.
Quite often I'll say to Kent, man, it's so cold in here. And he'll look at my feet and go, well, it's because you have bare feet. And he'll say, go put on some socks, go put on some slippers. He'll say, I'm cold. I'll say, well, you're wearing a t-shirt, go put on a sweater. So sometimes it's just that simple, that obvious. Just make yourself warmer and you'll be comfortable. Drink your coffee.
Have a toque.
Yes, and definitely cover your head. All right, let's get into protection. So the cold weather can really destroy your rig, and you do not want frozen pipes, you don't want frozen tank, you don't want all that kind of stuff. So Kent, what are some of the things we do for protecting Bessie? Let's
go back one step and just realize why the cold weather will destroy your rig. That is your valves and your plumbing. When that water freezes, expansion happens and cracks and breaks and seals will be destroyed. Okay? You do not want that.
Nope.
So you can destroy a toilet, you can destroy your under pull valves, and when those all get frozen up, it is a very difficult situation to deal with, because there's no opportunities or options, okay?
Well, and then you've got damage.
Yes.
So let's start from the top.
Okay.
Another thing that can happen is you can have ice and snow and rain. Right now we're on the West Coast. We are more concerned about rain than we are about snow. And you just want to make sure you don't have leaks coming through the roof.
Yeah, so I have a tape that I can, in an emergency, put right onto the roof that will seal up any cracks or tears.
What is that tape called? Butyl tape?
I think it's a butyl tape with a white vinyl skin on it.
Yeah.
Okay, and it sticks. I believe you can install it while it's raining even. So it's an emergency situation, and it works, and it's permanent.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've used some of it.
So have some of that on hand, just in case.
That's right. Don't start driving to the hardware store because you have an emergency.
And I know that every couple of years you'll go do a fresh coat of White Knight, which I think is like a rubber coating, a rubber sealant.
Yeah, and it comes out of a bucket.
Yeah, you just want to make sure your roof is in good condition. The seals around your windows are in good condition. You just don't want any of those leaks coming in.
And the reason I would use White Knight every year is because we have a 1993-year-old roof.
If you have a brand new rig, you don't probably have to worry about that. But still inspect your roof. Make sure that it's in good condition.
Excellent.
All right. So from the roof, what are we going to do to protect the next sort of layer, the walls and the windows?
Well, don't leave your awning out, because when the wind comes up, it'll tear down. Or actually, I've even had to take snow off the awning in order to put it up already this year.
Exactly.
Because the snow comes down wet.
Yeah, and that gets really heavy really fast.
Now, let's get down to the skirting.
Okay, let's do it. Skirting.
Let's not skirt the issue anymore.
Let's not skirt the issue.
Okay.
Let's cover it up.
Skirting can happen two different or multiple different ways. And number one, we did emergency skirting because the weather was going to drop very cold, and I'm talking very cold, like -10 Fahrenheit.
So minus 25, 20?
Yeah.
It was cold.
It was cold, and that was in October back in Drumheller.
Yeah,
okay?
in Alberta.
And we were staying there for a few weeks, and we knew that our plumbing was very, very exposed. So I actually did a 7 foot by 7 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot box underneath to surround the plumbing underneath Bessie.
So yeah, that wasn't a skirt that went all the way around. It was just around the tanks.
Yeah.
And it was that foam board, the insulating foam board.
It's the Dow Corning 1-inch pink foam board.
Yeah.
And it was 3 foot by 8 foot sheets.
Yeah.
So
that worked great.
I bought 4 of them. I only needed 3.
Did we put a heater underneath there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other thing you can put.
Yeah.
That.
We dropped an electrical fan heater underneath, and it was nice and toasty under there,
Yeah.
even though it was -20 outside.
Yeah, and actually we noticed a huge difference in the rig. All of a sudden it got a lot warmer in here on the floor.
So that's one way. Another way is to take the same boarding, go all the way around your rig, and drop a heater underneath, and now you've blocked the wind from taking away the heat, and your whole floor will be warmer. So that's another way, and that's the way you would do that if you were going to be staying in Alberta,
yes.
Or Saskatchewan, or northern BC, or the interior BC,
or
really,
Atlantic Canada,
or anywhere that the wind is going to howl and the temperatures are going to drop and break everything that freezes. So that's how you would skirt the trailer for those situations. Now you can use other materials like bales of hay or straw, whatever works for insulating. On the West Coast, where we are, we're watching the temperatures, and it's like, if it gets to +5 during the day,
and only to like -1 at
and
night,
-1 or even
zero.
-3, it's not a disaster. You just keep all of your valves dry, so that they, or don't even worry about them or touch them until it's back to +5. You're good.
So we need to apologize to some of you because we did a live stream a couple days ago, and we told you that this video would be all about skirting the trailer.
Yeah.
And we decided not to skirt the trailer because
we looked at the weather report and it was milder.
Well, and typical for RV life, your plans always change. So we had a bit of a higher priority in that we had to try and deal with our septic system at the place that we're staying, and it's just been a nightmare dealing with this right now. So that was a higher priority to get that septic system figured out versus skirting the rig.
Yeah.
So we didn't skirt yet. And like Kent said, when the
have the
weather's
supplies,
mild,
and I've got a 10-day forecast in front of me.
Yeah.
If it's going to get to -3 or 4 Celsius during the days, then I'll be skirting for sure.
Yeah, and we will show you that if and when that happens.
And what I will do is I will take a 3-foot Tyvek wrap and go all the way around the rig, making sure I have access to the things I need access to, and then put a heater underneath, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
because it's not extreme.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically what we want to let you guys know, that when we skirt the rig, we will let you know when that happens, if we even need it. Who knows? It might stay mild enough that we don't have to do that. Let's
possible.
talk about hoses. That's a big thing that people want to talk about. When it gets cold, what do you do with your water hose and all that kind of stuff? Okay,
first of all, you don't let your Camco filter freeze. It just destroys itself. It falls.
And it makes a mess.
It's like it disappears. It's like, where did it go? It's just, and all of a sudden there's running water because they crack and they're gone. Okay,
so if it's going to be cold, take the Camco filter off.
Yes.
Actually, what we do is we disconnect the entire water system.
Yeah.
So
we turn off the tap. We string up the hot water. The water hose for filling their rig and pressurizing, and we put all that away. And we also put the valves away.
And so then we just use our onboard water. So we use our freshwater tank, our water pump, and that works for us when it gets really cold. Especially if you're boondocking, that's pretty much your only way to do it. Now make sure that water pump doesn't freeze. So what we've done is we've put a small heater under our bed where our water tank and water pump are.
Yeah.
We don't have it there all the time, but when it's going to get really cold, we've done that, and that
our
helps.
Pump is up against the wall, so it can get
cold.
Really cold faster.
Yeah. And have emergency water on hand just in case.
Please. Yeah. So if there's no water in the morning and you have 2 jugs, it's like you're good to go.
At least you can make coffee.
And when the temperature starts to rise, everything starts to
warm up.
To get
and then
better.
It's good. And it starts to thaw. So awesome. Oh, and another thing people will do with their hoses is you can get heated hoses.
You can.
That you can plug in, they stay warm, or heat tape, and they'll wrap their hose, or they'll wrap their spigot, their water spigot or whatever.
That's for the people that
keep
have
it warm.
thousands of dollars to spend on their.
We don't have that, and so we just, you know, unhook it, and then in the daytime
Just
we
put
hook
it away
back up,
and then put it back. And also do that with your sewer line. If it's going to be extremely cold, don't leave your sewer line connected. Disconnect that too.
I just want to say too, another emergency situation you can do if all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, it's going to get super cold, we're not prepared for this. Always have some RV antifreeze on hand, because you can put that in your tank, and that will at least keep your gray tank and your black tank from freezing solid.
That's right. You do not want to have to deal with that.
No
I have.
poopsicles.
I have, actually. You pull a valve and nothing happens.
Yeah, and
You're like,
that's
but it's open.
not fun.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Or you go to pull the valve and the valve is completely frozen, and you're like, okay, pull out the heaters.
Yeah, the blow dryer.
So try and fix this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I even had that in Page, Arizona.
Yeah, so it does happen,
Yeah.
and sometimes you find yourself in that situation sort of unplanned.
Yeah.
So just be a little bit prepared in those winter months, and then you'll be fine.
So the very last piece we want to talk about is condensation, the water that collects on your windows, the water that collects inside your rig on anything that's cold.
And it happens a lot, especially since we got our big dog. She just breathes all the time, so there's condensation on every window.
And when you cook potatoes, it's
yeah, for
it's
sure.
everywhere.
So one way, there's a few ways you can deal with condensation.
Yeah.
I think getting an actual dehumidifier is a really good way to help that situation.
Yeah, and there's two kinds. There's one that has a little fan in it that collects the moisture on the plates, and it fills up a little reservoir. But there's the other kind also. That's the Dri Z Air.
Yes, and that brand
or
actually
Dri Z Air.
Dri Z Air.
There you go. Dri Z Air. Dri Z Air.
It's the one that has the beads, and it has like a little container, and you put that in your rig, and it just, you know, absorbs moisture and collects the water, and then you just dump that out.
The actual little granules actually crystallize, and that is what collects the moisture, and then the moisture drips off as this crystallization process happens, and that way it fills up the reservoir. You dump that out, and you put more Dri Z Air beads into it as needed.
But we've tried other brands, and the Dri Z Air is the best brand. We are not sponsored by them. We're just telling you that that's the one that actually works.
It's Dri Z Air.
And you can also get the ones that hang up in your closet that keep moisture from collecting in your closets, which is a big deal. So be careful. Watch your cupboards and closets, because moisture will build up back there, and then you'll get mold. We talked to one lady on our live stream. She actually had mushrooms growing in her rig. You don't want mold and mushrooms. So make sure you take care of that. Now, those hangy ones in the closet, don't break them, because they make a huge mess. We did that.
We had one that tore open or fell or something, and
gross.
Yeah, oily beads everywhere.
So just be careful
Tiny
with that.
oily beads everywhere.
Exactly. Now, recently we got a fan, so that has worked great. It has a big clamp on it, so I can move it anywhere in the rig and just clamp it to whatever location I need to. I plug it in, I turn it on, and that movement of air really dries off the windows very quickly. So that has been a really good investment. We're really glad we got that, and it just helps to move the air.
Yeah, we use it for a number of different places. Now, one thing to remember is don't leave cupboards or doors closed at nighttime if you're keeping the whole rig warm, but you forget about that one spot, like the bathroom. Leave it open a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't let it get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 degrees colder in that room. You may have problems.
Yeah. And the other thing you can do if you don't have any of these products we're talking about is just crack a window open. Crack a window or a vent, and that will help the air circulation so you have less condensation. It's really unmotivating to do that when it's super cold outside, but you really don't want that water collecting on the inside of your rig.
No. Avoid that at all costs.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think
Hey, you need to get rid of a lot of moisture fast. Turn on the AC.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be really counterintuitive when it's cold outside.
Hey, it doesn't have to be producing cold air.
So basically that's it. We hope you guys have a wonderful winter. Stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay protected. And thanks so much for everybody's input for this video.
Yes.
Go check out the live stream if you like. That's kind of a fun video, just us hanging out with our buddies. And yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Just survive winter well.
Yeah, my name is Lisa.
My name is Kent, and we're Living Light RV.
We are grabbing life by the tail. We're staying warm and dry. You guys go grab life by the tail, and we will see you next Thursday.